Yes, I should be. Good Lord, what is happening in there?
Aurora Borealis?
Aurora Borealis. At this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within your kitchen.
Yes.
May I see it?
No.
Seymour! The house is on fire!
No, Mother, it's just the Northern Lights.
Well, Seymour, you are an odd fellow, but I must say, you steam a good ham.
Help! Help!
Welcome in, everybody, once again to Titans Tube. My name is Justin, and this is Jake with me here. And the Titans, Jake, got back on the winning page here, defeating the Jacksonville Jaguars, 37-19. Jake, this was a gotta-have-it win after last week. I mean, we were even texting each other, and we talked about it on camera too, how the only way to get rid of this sick, disgusting feeling and a loss to the New York Jets is just to come back and take care of business next Sunday against the Jags and get that bad taste out of your mouth. So how'd you feel about this game, Jake? Is the bad taste out of your mouth? Are we back on track for a Super Bowl? Nothing says nothing says you're back on track for a Super Bowl like beating the Jags. They
Yes.
kind of just do that for you.
Yes, indeed. And, the fan base gets the much-needed win. I mean, me and you needed this win just as bad as the Titans organization did.
For our mental
just because
health,
our morale, was so low. A big double-digit win against a divisional rival is always a good thing to have happen. As far as Super Bowl back on track, ask me that question next Tuesday morning after we play the Bills on Monday night, and we'll see really, truly where this team is at, because we've gotten a mixed bag thus far. And even I thought this game was a little bit of a mixed bag. Obviously, hail King Henry. I really think yesterday's game was a perfect example of an 0-4 football team clouded with 1,000,001 distractions and a head coach who seemingly doesn't know how to navigate the NFL versus an established team who has had winning in the past and a head coach who has his head on his shoulders in Mike Vrabel. And I think that was kind of the difference yesterday.
It was. And also, I mean, if you're a Jags fan, I was going to credit the Jags a little bit here because, I thought they came to play. If you look at the stat sheet, they were right there with us. They were even better than us in a few categories. In terms of first downs, they almost had outgained us in yardage by 100 yards. The time of possession was equal. They were penalized only 4 times throughout the game. So they came to play. They were disciplined. I felt like the score was maybe a little wider than how it felt and watching how the game played out. If we want to go into kind of the game flow here, and then we can kind of get into individual player performances. It was 24-13 at half, but were we helped by the refs on that Kevin Byard, a fumble recovery? That was a bang play early on in the game. And then, of course, the missed field goal and missed extra point by Jacksonville. And that was pretty much the margin there at halftime. So, I don't know, do you want to talk about that Kevin Byard play? Good for him. First NFL touchdown. We were kind of waiting on it. He's done so many good things for this defense over the years, and he's been our best taker away of the ball in terms of intercepting passes, fumble recoveries, and he finally gets himself an NFL touchdown. But could have been, debatable, controversial. It was a tough call. Did he have possession of the ball, Jake? What did you think when you were watching?
On the broadcast, it was so fast, bang, bang, and the refs kind of let it play, which they're instructed to do that and let the play drag out and then go back and review it. And when they went back and reviewed it, I thought it was really, really, really close. And I was prepared for the broadcast to go to commercial and they're going to take forever to look at this. And even the factor of, was Byard touched down when he recovered the fumble? I thought that was even close, and that had speculation on it. And all of a sudden the ref comes out, confirmed touchdown. And it was bang, bang, bang. Titans are up 7-0 before we could even think about if this was actually a fumble or not. And funny you say helped out by the refs, Justin. I thought there was another questionable call late in this game. I know we're going early game flow, but late in this game, the Trevor Lawrence scramble on the 3rd and goal, the Jags were going to have the Titans within 6 points with 10 minutes left in the game. And the Titans were kind of on the ropes at that point. And Trevor Lawrence kind of reaches out, stumbles into the end zone, ruled a touchdown on the field. And it was, again, super close. And they came out and said, overruled, oh, he's short. And then that's eventually where the Titans stood at the goal line. But a definite interesting day when it came to officiating. Seems like the Titans got a lot of breaks.
I know. And I was just about to say, we're not used to seeing that as Titans fans, kind of things going your way when it's a coin flip kind of a thing, or even when it does look like it's going to probably go the other way. And no, it reverses and goes the Titans way. That was the Trevor Lawrence scramble was a weird play because it looked like he was kind of losing possession as he was possibly crossing the line, but where was his knee at the same time? It looked like it should have already hit, but then you kind of see that it does still kind of like float above the ground. It's kind of like that Julian Edelman catch in the Super Bowl where the ball just levitates above the ground as he's diving to make the catch. So, a weird play. Another shout out, Kevin Byard. He could have been our defensive player of the game. Yeah. Or maybe player of the game in general. I mean, with that fumble recovery for a touchdown, and he kind of made that 4th and goal stop or that goal line stop by himself because he did break up a pass after that Trevor Lawrence scramble, but he made the tackle on that Trevor Lawrence scramble and then forced them to go for it again with Carlos Hyde, who then gets tackled in the backfield. So Kevin Byard was clutch on that series and then early in the game with the touchdown. So as I said, the Titans were leading 24-13 at half, playing pretty good, but the Jags were still, moving the ball. James Robinson is a problem, dude. We cannot shut down James Robinson. What a quality running back and a bright future that he's going to have there. Jacksonville better be retaining him and Lawrence. I mean, I think Lawrence is a good quarterback and he needs to be that franchise quarterback there. If Jacksonville wants to, improve the culture and start, creating a winning tradition there somehow in Jacksonville. Those two guys seem to be the future there, but the chunk plays were killing us yet again. But I thought coming out of halftime, just what the doctor ordered was a long 6-7 minute drive. Was it methodical? Tannehill, Henry taking the ball down the field and adding yet another touchdown coming out of the halftime to spread the margin to 31-13. And then the offense just kind of disappeared after that, Jake. It was getting a little dicey there at the end because the offense was going 3 and out. It might have been 3 straight possessions where it ended in a Johnny Townsend punt. And Jacksonville was moving the ball. They responded with a long touchdown drive. Then they almost had that other touchdown that we had just talked about, but was stopped on the 4th and goal. If they had made that, Jake, this would have been a 5-6 point game. And the Titans would be getting the ball back after doing nothing for the last 3 drives. So I thought, that 4th down stop, Chris Jackson and company, Tierra Tart, shout out for getting in the backfield and kind of forcing Carlos Hyde to change directions, bouncing it to the outside. That was kind of the game, play of the game ender, kind of sealing the deal. And then we add on another Derrick Henry touchdown at the end for the final margin. And of course, Randy Bullock just can't make us feel good, even though the extra point at the end didn't matter. It was like, oh, yeah, okay, this is still something that we're going to have to worry about. Oh, by the way, Randy is on the fence, making these kicks. He had been perfect throughout the day up until that point. But
it was kind of a witching Sunday, though, Justin, not to cut you off. But I mean, I think I heard there were 12 missed extra points and 12 missed field goals across the NFL. Everybody's kicker was struggling. I don't know if the planets were aligned in a certain way to cause massive wind shifts across the Earth's surface. I don't know what happened, but there were missed kicks galore everywhere.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was after the Titans game, I was finishing up watching the Titans game, and then I was at a bar, and the channel had changed to Packers and Bengals. I could not believe the back and forth missed kick battle that Mason Crosby had.
That was unbelievable
with the Bengals kicker. That was unbelievable. But yeah, so overall, you're not going to complain about a win. There's a lot of good things to take away from this game, Jake. It wasn't perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Obviously, Derrick Henry doing what he does, but we gave him the ball 29 times again. So 29 touches. He did not have a reception. Just another workhorse, workmanlike performance from him. 4.5 yard average and tripled up on the touchdowns. I don't know. How did you feel about, Todd Downing in the play calling? Again, it felt predictable at times. Henry for 2 yards, forced Tannehill to make a play and move the chains on third downs, which we can talk about Tannehill later. But I thought, again, he's playing so good for this offense. He is way outplaying what you see on the stat sheet. But then, Todd Downing did mix it up a little bit, which I love to see, with Cam Batson taking snaps out of the shotgun, faking to Henry. We did end up incorporating some first down throws and play action. I think Chester Rogers had a carry too. Some misdirection, all that stuff, mixing it up a little bit. I do like to see that from Todd Downing. That was also along with the ho-hum, Henry up the middle. So getting better, I thought, from Todd Downing. What did you think?
I like the creativity that he brought to the table. I'm not super crazy. I'm kind of biting my fingernails when Cam Batson's taking snaps in the shotgun. It just makes me feel nervous. But I do like the little razzle-dazzle mixed in, some misdirection to Chester Rogers on kind of a sweep that he picked up 9 yards for. I mean, anything to get the ball out of Derrick Henry's hands. That's a weird statement to say, but like
anything we can do to keep him from touching the ball. How dare you say
anything we can do to slightly reduce Henry's workload, be it a Chester Rogers end around or Cam Batson's student body left to pick up a first down. That's A-okay with me. And I don't know if you noticed, but the drive before halftime that ended in a Randy Bullock field goal, Derrick Henry wasn't on the field. And I noted it right then. I was like, that's a great rest for Henry. We're counting on him so much, and his workload has been so incredibly large early in the season that anytime we can do something effective on offense that isn't give the ball to Derrick Henry, it's going to work for us in the long run. I hope that kind of made sense. It was a roundabout explanation.
It did make sense. And I was going to add on, even Jeremy McNichols, dude, he has earned himself some carries. Even, like, it's okay to hand the ball off to other people besides Henry, and I think McNichols has done that. We gave him the ball one time this game, and I want to see more of that. He gained 9 yards on it, and it's just a thing where when McNichols comes on the field, we're very predictable in that 95% of the time it's going to be a pass play. So not only would it take a little bit of the load off of Henry, but it would keep the defense more, guessing on their toes. It still could be a run, even though McNichols is in there. And I think he's played well enough for this offense to add some touches on the ground for him. Again, he was big in the pass game. He caught a 25-yard pass early on to move the sticks from Tannehill. But if I can just say, Ryan Tannehill, dude, it's almost like we're putting him in a very difficult spot all the time. Like he's playing so well for us. I'm trying to figure out what exactly I mean here, but we give the ball to Derrick Henry so much that whenever we do give the ball to Tannehill and put it in his hands, it's like we know the defense knows it's going to be a pass play, third and middling to long. We're almost setting up for that. So everyone in the stadium, everyone on the field knows it's going to be a pass play. He's playing behind an offensive line that cannot be trusted. He was sacked again 3 times today. And I did look it up. He still leads the league in time sacked. So we need to get that corrected. We can't have Tannehill getting hurt. There's no way that this team can survive without Tannehill, as good as Derrick Henry is. But he's still making it happen. And he's making it happen with these receivers. Shout out Marcus Johnson. We did see the delivery on all this media hype and the press from local reporters that, hey, Marcus Johnson is showing up. And the coaches were heaping praise on him throughout training camp. Like, Marcus Johnson, he's going to make the team. We didn't even see him in the preseason due to injury. He might have played a little bit during one game, but got hurt. But he made the team, and we really haven't seen anything from this guy. And he showed up. He led the team in receiving yards. Chester Rogers, again, all these Indianapolis Colts cast-offs making big plays for us. Caught a ball for 26 yards. A.J. Brown got active again in the passing game. That was a big addition to see him back in the lineup. And we can kind of see the impact immediately with just A.J. Brown being on the field and what it does for this passing offense. But again, Tannehill just getting it done when his numbers called. He was only 14 of 22, but his 14 completions went for 197 yards. So just super efficient passing the ball. And he was big, converting first downs with his legs late in the game, killing more of that clock in the fourth quarter to ice the game. So yeah, just another good, solid, efficient game from Tannehill when, it seems like, again, reiterating, it's going to be a pass play over half the time. When a pass play is called, everybody knows it's going to be a pass play. And he's having to play behind this offensive line and throwing to these receivers who haven't had a whole lot of, experience on the field. But once Julio and AJ get back to 100%, hopefully we can see the full effect of this offense. But love what I'm seeing from Tannehill all throughout this year.
For sure. And Ryan Tannehill's never going to light up the stat sheet, and that's why he doesn't get the praise of him being a top 10 quarterback in the national media, because he's putting up really middling numbers when it comes to splashy headlining quarterback play. And it's just the formula for the Titans to win, how this football team is built. Ryan Tannehill doesn't have to go out and throw for 400 yards, 5 touchdowns to win football games. That's what Derrick Henry's for, to do it on the ground, frankly, to put it in the most loose terms possible. But yeah, I'm with you. Ryan Tannehill playing great. I think he's got real zip on the ball. He's throwing some dimes, man. Even something simple as I think it was 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 in the second half. He hit AJ Brown on like a 5-yard out, and it was tight coverage, and it was a contested catch, and that ball was right in there. AJ Brown comes up with it. Huge first down, and it's a 4-yard completion, but Tannehill looked good doing it and putting zip on the ball. AJ Brown definitely made a impact in this game, especially we talked about chicken soup for the Titans fans' soul. And when I saw it was early in the game, they kind of faked the pitch to Henry, play action, turnaround, AJ Brown, 10-yard slant. It was automatic last year. We watched it time and time again, work in the Titans' favor, and we saw it early yesterday, which was just a great sight to behold.
Yeah, absolutely. And it feels like Tannehill, in the way he's playing, the zip on the ball, the accuracy, he's 14 of 22 in this game, but that is a locked in, fully engaged Tannehill, 14 of 22. I think there was one sack, we're praising Tannehill. There was one sack where, again, Tannehill's not perfect, obviously. He threw 8 incompletions. Some of those might have been throwaways, though. I know that there was one at the end of the game that was a throwaway into the stands, where he I think he held onto the ball too long. And there was a brief moment where it looked like a running lane had opened up, and he still just kind of sat there and took a sack. So not all the sacks are on the O-line, but most of them are. And, you'd like to see Tannehill get a little bit better with his pocket presence. Weird to say that about a 10-year veteran. If he doesn't have the great pocket presence by now, he might never get it. But that's okay. You can't. Not everyone is perfect here.
And I'm glad you brought up Tannehill using his legs. Another thing I wanted to say about his game is that it is critically important for the Titans as a whole, as an offense, that I bet you if you looked up the stats, I wish I had the statistician skills to do this, but if you looked where Ryan Tannehill picks up more than 1 first down with his legs in a given game, what's the Titans' record? What's their success rate when Tannehill is moving, running, using his legs, picking up first downs? It feels like every single Tannehill scramble goes for a first down in maybe a big situation. So a definite great ace up the sleeve from Ryan Tannehill, because you don't view him as a mobile quarterback, but we've seen him run, especially early this year. Yeah,
it's such a backbreaker and soul crusher for defenses when you're shutting down Henry, you're defending the pass well, but this 3rd and 5, unbelievable. Tannehill is able to scramble outside and extend a drive. Whenever you think everything you're doing is correct and you're making all the right calls and playing the right defense, Tannehill can break your soul with the scramble for a first down. So that is definitely a crucial element to this offense that you want to see keep going. Yeah, three carries for 21 yards in this game. I wonder what the Titans' record is when he has like 20 or more rushing yards. We're probably undefeated, honestly.
For sure.
If we want to kind of move over to the defense here, again, Kevin Byard, love seeing him show up. He looked like the Kevin Byard of old, of the all-pro 8 interception Kevin Byard. I mean, defense got 2 turnovers. Kevin Byard with both of them, but a interception with zeros on the clock at the very end of the game. It looks good on the stat sheet. I'll take the stats. You like seeing Kevin Byard accumulate some interceptions, but literally had no impact on the game. But his fumble recovery for a touchdown absolutely had a huge impact on the game. What did you see about what did you see with this defense, Jake? We kind of touched on it. We can go with a more so of a negative, but I'm seeing David Long Jr. rack up 12 freaking tackles with 1 tackle for loss. Where's our other middle inside linebacker, Rashaan Evans, at the bottom of the list with 1 tackle, Jake? Is he getting rotated out? Is he not just making tackles, and he is seeing a lot of playing time? And this guy, Joe Jones, Jake, he recorded 3 tackles for us. I think they were on special teams. He must have been a guy we picked up off the street right before the game started yesterday. John Simon, 3 tackles. We re-signed him. He was on the team, through training camp. But what's going on? What's going on, Rashaan Evans? Is it time to just push him to the sideline? And once Jayon Brown gets back, I'm ready to just go with David Long Jr. and Jayon Brown as our 2 inside linebackers. What's up? For
sure. I've seen time and time again, like the joke on Titans Twitter is, if you don't see Rashaan Evans on a given play, just look in the wrong hole. Just look in the wrong rushing assignment gap, and he will be in the wrong one. And he's doing the thing where he's diving over piles completely unnecessarily. It's unbelievable. I can't believe he's not getting roasted every single week in film room to try and improve this. And it's just the same old Rashaan Evans we're seeing. I don't know what he's thinking about doing at the middle line or inside linebacker position. But yeah, you love to see David Long Jr. He's all over the field in these first 5 games. I feel like you get his name called all the time on the broadcast. So love what David Long Jr. is doing. Love what Harold Landry is doing. He's going to play himself into a nice contract. And, if Bud Dupree can come back and be an effective pass rusher opposite Harold Landry with Jeff Simmons and Danico Autry in the middle, I mean, we could have something, Justin. We could have something. Yeah. And you see Caleb Farley come back, not really make a huge impact in this game. And the secondary was somewhat quiet, still giving up big plays. The Laviska Shenault pretty much almost catapulted the Jaguars back into this game. We mentioned it at the top of the show. This could have been a 6-point game with 10 minutes to play. And I'm writing in my notes, do the Titans blow this game with 10 minutes left or, 12 minutes left? It's starting to feel like it. And it ended up, being the goal line stop, but still letting up big plays, still having gaping holes in the secondary. Missed tackles were a huge problem yesterday, Justin. Huge problem. But, overall, I don't know whether it's scheme or player talent or who you have in there or communication or what. It's got to get a little bit better. I feel like this defense has the talent, has the know-how and the tools, but just for some reason it's not clicking all the time. I mean, we've seen flashes of it early this season, but again, big plays continue to be the Achilles heel.
I mean, that Shenault reception, dude, that was 100% on the players. I mean, you can't fault the. I mean, him getting the reception in the first place, I don't know if that was a good defensive call to defend that, but dude, we had 3 guys around him. I thought Dane Cruikshank, he even tweeted out after the game, like, I had a crap game. I got to play better and tackle better. I realized I sucked this game. And he looked bad on that Shenault reception. We had 3 guys around him. I think even David Long Jr. was right there too. And it was just like, oh, you're going to tackle him. Cool, I'm going to chill. And the other guys were like, yeah, he's about to get tackled by you, right? None of us are going to make the tackle. I was having flashbacks. I had flashbacks to the AFC Championship game when Mahomes' goofy self just kind of, I don't know. We made him look like
into the end zone.
Athlete. Yeah, just took off for a touchdown run at the end of the first half. That was embarrassing. And this was equally as embarrassing in how it looked and how we just didn't seem interested in tackling Shenault. But yeah, dude, these big plays, man, time and time again. Again, the Rashaan Evans criticism. He looked like, I saw a tweet from the all 22 angle. He just left his gap when James Robinson had his 58-yard rush. He just ran right through there. and Rashaan Evans is on the other side of the line of scrimmage, which is
The
not
wrong
where he
gap.
started. He was
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
That was his gap, and he just abandoned it. So some of this has got to be players, maybe some of it's coaching scheme, but this defense is pretty good, I think, outside of these horrible 50-plus yard plays that they give up every single week. And I said it in the last game recap. It doesn't matter how good you are throughout the course of a game. That is all undone by one or two huge splash plays that you give up. So hopefully we see that get corrected. You said Harold Landry, his honor roll list. His honor roll is getting to be extensive already. Coming up with 2 sacks, and you would hope to see somebody else can be effective in helping him out and getting after the quarterback. Jeff Simmons did have 2 QB hits, so he showed up in that department. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting Bud Dupree back. I think Bud Dupree, if he's 100% healthy, I think we could have a legitimate pass rush on our hands. Again, let's see. Christian Fulton had a pass breakup. He has a couple of these per game, it seems like now. So you love seeing it from him. But what I don't love seeing from him is that he seems like he's turning into the Roger Saffold of the defense, where he's a great player, but he's always leaving the game because of some kind of knick-knack injury that he has. And then he comes back in, and then he gets hurt, so he leaves again, and then he comes back in. So hopefully he can get 100% healthy and not continue to get dinged up throughout the course of the game. And also, speaking of that, hopefully Roger Saffold is good. We need him on the offensive line. I thought Corey Levin did come in and do a pretty decent job to seal the game in the second half there. But, you'd love seeing Elijah Molden too. Shout out him. He puts the helmet on the ball. He's the one that caused that possible incomplete pass, but it was actually a fumble recovered for a touchdown. Glad that went our way. But yeah, outside the big shot plays, the run defense has got to get better. James Robinson going off for 149 yards, 8.3 yards per carry. That's brutal. I mean, he averaged the same amount of yards per carry that Trevor Lawrence had passing the ball, 8.3 yards per attempt for Trevor Lawrence.
Wow. That's impressive.
So, yeah, that is depressing. But hey, Titans get the win. They're 2-0 in the AFC South. We love seeing that as the AFC South continues losing games. Houston losing, choked that game away against the Patriots. The Colts tonight, probably going to be a loss to the Ravens, but we'll see. As depressing as last week was, the Titans are in decent position. We got a brutal stretch coming up, Jake. Even if we lose to the Bills and the Chiefs and the Rams, but get a win against Indianapolis, if we go 1-3 still, we're in okay shape somehow because of this awful, awful division. So thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
No kidding. I've gone into that, but what else do you have to say about this game? How do you feel about Johnny Townsend?
Johnny Townsend had a much better showing yesterday than he did in the New York Jets debut of his. That's for sure. Yeah, I didn't really have a beef with special teams. Obviously, Randy Bullock joins the missed kicks party that was league-wide yesterday on his last meaningless PAT, but all well and good. I thought we've seen this mantra come out of Titans football in the locker room and everything, but it's not pretty, but it's beautiful when they get a win. And we have yet to see the Titans look drop dead gorgeous in a game yet. I mean, they're 3-2 and they've had 2 double-digit wins, and they went to Seattle and won in overtime, and it was not super convincing all the way through in any of those games, especially Seattle, obviously. But 2 double-digit wins against divisional foes, and we're still coming away like, nah, it feels okay, but we could be
it's
better.
Hard to gauge because our 3 wins have all come against teams with losing records. I think Seattle dropped to 2-3 now. Yeah. They're about to drop a lot more games without Russell Wilson, but I would like to see a win against a more quality playoff caliber opponent for sure. I mean, we're going to get our chance coming up here, obviously, in the next couple weeks. Boy, are we ever. I am terrified of the Buffalo Bills, Jake.
Hey, but all things considered, Justin, you look 10 days into October and you're two full games pending the Colts game tonight, Monday night against the Ravens. But if they drop that game, you're 2 full games in first place. You already have a stranglehold on your division with 2 divisional wins. And just, with this Titans team, what we've seen thus far this year and what we've seen in the past 5 to 6 years of Titans football is that we can lose to anybody and we can beat anybody on any given week. So losing to the Jets in overtime last week, awful, terrible, awful day for all Titans fans. But would it be vindicated with a win in Nissan Stadium Monday night against the Bills, who are proving to be the team to beat in the AFC? I mean, the Chiefs, 2-3, man. I mean, the Chiefs might not even have a winning record when we get a shot at them because the Bills just ran roughshod over them in Kansas City. So the Bills are clear alphas in the AFC, and the Titans are going to get their shot on a national stage. I just hope they don't lay another egg. I hope it's a competitive game and the Titans can come out with a win. It wouldn't shock me if they did beat the Bills, and it wouldn't shock me if they lost by 30. So it's kind of, we've gotten to this point with the Titans.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I mean, in the flip side to the brutal stretch is that, Buffalo could get ugly for sure, but the Chiefs look pretty kind of vulnerable a little bit, especially with their defense and Patrick Mahomes and the questionable offensive line play, being able to protect him. That's a winnable game at home, I think. We'll see how the Chiefs look next week. And then the Rams. They destroyed the Bucks, but there's been times when they've looked pretty beatable. I mean, they got beat by the Cardinals almost as bad as the Titans got beat by the Cardinals. Yeah. So, nothing's a given. But after that brutal stretch, the schedule, really lightens up. Obviously playing in the AFC South, but we play, the Patriots, who aren't what they used to be. We play the Steelers, who did get a pretty good win against the Broncos last week, so we'll see how they look. We play the Dolphins. Who knows what the quarterback situation is going to be like. So, I mean, if we can come out of the stretch with a couple wins, I think the Titans will be sitting pretty, and the brutal bitterness from the Jets loss will be far out of sight, out of mind, I think. So you're feeling good. We're feeling good about ourselves, getting back on the winning track. Super Bowl is back on the menu. We beat the Jags. Yeah.
Yep. And definitely with a Derrick Henry feasting performance. Love to see that as well. Justin, I know we've had this conversation at least once, at least maybe half a time, but I know you are very nostalgic for Steve McNair, Eddie George era Titans, because that's why you're a fan and that's why we're talking about the Titans on a Zoom call right now. But when it comes to Derrick Henry,
I only have their bobbleheads within reaching distance. That's
at all times.
That's how much at all times. I sleep with them. They're next to me in bed. Yes.
That's great. That's a great exhibit A of your nostalgia. But as a fan myself, who didn't particularly get to watch the glory days of Steve and Eddie, I've only relived them through highlights and game replays, et cetera, et cetera. Is Derrick Henry the best Titan to ever put on a uniform in the city of Nashville? I mean, in just the Titans era, did you ever see Eddie George do the kind of things that Derrick Henry's doing? I know Steve McNair willed this team to a lot of wins, but I also think Marcus Mariota willed himself and willed this team to a lot of wins. Also, maybe not to the success level of Steve McNair, obviously. But is Derrick Henry the best to ever don the two-tone blue? And do you think it's a conversation? Is it a good debate, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be right there, if not already taken that mantle. I mean, what he's doing is ridiculous. Eddie George, in terms of individual performances, for sure. I mean, Eddie George had his share of 30 carries for 130 yards, a couple touchdowns. I mean, that was a bread and butter Eddie George stat line. But Derrick Henry's doing things that puts him in the same categories as Jim Brown and Danian Tomlinson, Walter Payton, and all the great. I mean, obviously, Chris Johnson had over 2,000 yards. Derrick Henry has now had 2,000 yards, and he's on pace to do it again. Yeah. I think he could be the only running back in history with 3 straight seasons of 1,500 plus rushing yards and 15 plus rushing touchdowns. I mean, that's dominant.
That is dominant. We've seen Derrick Henry flourish since that fateful Thursday night Jaguars game where he rips off the 99-yarder, and he has been absolutely dominant ever since.
Yeah. And I don't think we've seen this kind of dominance from an individual standpoint from a Titans player. The thing about, the greatness conversation, And what makes, you're old like me, Titans fan, so nostalgic for the Eddie George and Steve McNairs is the team success around that. If Derrick Henry needs to take us to a Super Bowl, so much better if we win a Super Bowl with him. But the Steve McNair, Eddie George Titans were continually Super Bowl contenders, 99, 2000, kind of dropped a year in 2001, but right back there in 2002, 2003, McNair won a co-MVP award. And they had playoff success. We were also winning playoff games outside of the 2000 season when the Ravens beat us. That was our year. I mean, 2000 and 2008 were our years, and the Ravens beat us both times in the playoffs. But I just think we need to see that team success. We need to win a couple playoff games, get back into that conversation when we talk about greatness overall. I mean, that's what makes Tom Brady and what separates him from all the other quarterbacks. I mean, his total stats, yes, he's just because he's played for so long, he's number one in a lot of those categories. But what makes him the greatest is the team success and the Super Bowls that he's brought home. So you would love to see because Chris Johnson, one of the all-time greats, but he played in one single playoff game in his entire career.
As a rookie.
Not with the Titans. Yeah, and he was a rookie. So you thought like, oh my God, we're going to win so many games, so many playoff games, maybe a Super Bowl with this guy giving him the ball, but it never ended up happening. So as great as Chris Johnson was, he's not seen as one of the greats like across the NFL. Certainly a Titan great. So he might be in the Ring of Honor, but I mean, he just piled up a bunch of stats, dominated in his own way. His 2009 season was something ridiculous. I still think, even though that Derrick Henry has his 2,000-yard season, Chris Johnson did it in a different way. He was just so fast, and he was so hard to tackle. It was impressive and just in a different way. I'm completely rambling. Where have I gone, Jake? You asked me
you're good.
And I'm reflecting on all the old Titans greats. Bruce Matthews is considered one of the greatest of all time O linemen. So
maybe more of an Oiler, though. Would you say? Oh
yeah, he played like 15 years as an Oiler and then like 3 as the Titans. But you can't measure like stats like that with O linemen. But yeah, I would say Derrick Henry's got to be there. He's got to be there. Number one greatest Titan of all time when it's said and done. I would just like to see the team succeed around him and not waste this. But we wasted a lot of Chris Johnson because the team was bad. But I think he's there from an individual performance standpoint, 100%.
I like it. I like what you said about Chris Johnson and Derrick Henry doing it completely differently. And I don't know, the feeling with Derrick Henry is different. On Chris Johnson, it was like a lottery coin flip every snap of the ball. Is he going to go? And then eventually he would go. With Derrick Henry, it's just, he's so big and just like physically dominating that it makes me warm and fuzzy for great football plays, and he's just doing it in his own unique way. And he's just a big bully essentially back there. He's a
throwback.
On top. Yeah,
he's a throwback kind of runner. He's getting 2,000 yards with the 3 yards in a cloud of dust approach, which is insane. I mean, he obviously can break the long one. One of only 2 players ever to go 99 yards, and he can still outrun defensive backs, he's just a monster.
He's just a monster
of a human being. So yeah, oh man, we could be watching a Hall of Famer in real time. There's yet to be a Hall of Fame Titan from the time they started their careers as a Titan to how they ended it. Obviously, Kevin Mawai came over here late, but he was a Jet for most of the time. I don't know. There might be a couple others like that. I can't think of any.
Randy Moss.
Randy Moss. That's a good call.
All-time Titan great.
Possibly Andre Johnson as well.
But anyways, this Jags game recap has gone off on an entirely different railroad. But I was very curious to ask you, because we kind of come from, it's not that, it's a decade's difference, but we come from different eras of Titans football, and I haven't really seen the team success on the level that McNair and Eddie George did it back in the early aughts versus I hopped on board really in the 2008 season. I was like 9 years old to really watch Titans. And so great start. And then immediately just years and years and years of garbage. And then
Yeah.
finally, we've climbed to the 9-7 plateau and hopefully continue to ascend in the Mike Vrabel era. But who's to say? Let's just keep stacking divisional wins. And, with the AFC South playing out the way it is this year, I don't think a week-to-week success story from the Titans is as important as let's just get hot at the end of December. And we're going to have a seat at the table, I think. I think the Titans are almost a lock to win the division. And let's just figure it out then and see if we can't go on a run with Derrick Henry, Julio, A.J. Brown, and Bud Dupree and Harold Landry on the other side. See if we can't just put it together at the right time.
I mean, that could be a thing that the coaches, you always want to go in and prepare 100% every week for every opponent. But that could be a thing that they're thinking about and why, I know Bud Dupree tried to come back early and he admitted as much himself last week. But maybe this is why they're continuing to hold out Julio. This is a very banged up roster right now. And these coaches could be seeing, the schedule and how bad the AFC South is. And maybe they're thinking, we're most likely going to win this thing. Let's just make sure we take care of the AFC South opponents. And we're going to be a lock to win this division if we do that. And hopefully by holding out Julio and Bud Dupree and some of these other key players, we want to be as healthy as possible to, even if we stumble in at 10-7 or 9-8 as division winners, we'll still host a playoff game. But if we're completely healthy, we could go on a run. I mean, we went on our AFC Championship run in 2019 with a 9-7 record because we were getting hot at the right time. Henry was getting hot. So that could be a factor. So, we got it. Getting healthy is one of the most important things for this football team right now. I mean, if we lose to the Bills and the Chiefs, but we're still kind of getting healthier and we're getting players back, Bud Dupree's finding his way to the lineup. Maybe we're getting Julio Jones back onto the field. It's not going to be the worst thing. I mean, as long as, like you said, we take care of the divisional opponents, I think we're going to be in good enough shape to win this division and then get healthy at the right time and start to get hot at the right time at the end of December and into January. So we'll see what happens. I mean, still a lot of questions surrounding this team.
So many questions.
Special teams. We've got to get old Brett Kern back. And is Randy Bullock going to be consistent for us throughout the rest of the year? Can our defense stop these horrible, big, busted coverage plays and tackle, for the love of the Lord, tackle and not give up a 60-yard reception, which should have been a 15-yard reception. But so a lot of questions to be answered. But we're 3-2, 2-0 in the AFC South. Got a tough few games ahead of us now. So we'll see what this team's made of. We'll see what they're made of coming up here, Jake.
That we will. And I'm going to throw it out there and say the Titans are going to split the next two, Justin. I don't know which one they're going to win and which one they're going to lose, but I'm just going to go ahead and say that the Titans are going to be 4-3, preparing to go to Indianapolis at the end of October. So that'll probably do it for our game recap. Justin, do you have anything else to take us to the barn?
I got nothing. Just, enjoy this week. Enjoy the win. It's going to be so much better than last week. Things are kind of back on track. I know it's just one game, but it was an important game. We really had to have this one, I think.
Very important game.
Yeah.
Something to note, by the way, totally forgot to mention this. I will be absent this week for Titans Tube, and there will be a very special fill-in guest. We'll leave it as a secret for now. But I'm going to be away traveling this week, so I'll probably join you again for the Bills recap, possibly.
Yes, a special guest in terms of, if you watch Titans Tube over the years. I don't want to set the bar like too high. I don't want people.
The bar is very high. Justin.
I'm not gonna have like Derrick Henry on the show or Eddie George or anything like that. It's not that. But yeah, you'll see it when the video comes out. It should be
indeed.
fun.
All right. I think that'll do it for us, Justin. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Titans get a double-digit victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars. We are in sole grip of the AFC South. Let's keep it rolling, and let's go beat Buffalo on the national stage next week.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's shock the world, and then probably lose to the Texans later on in the season, because that's what the Titans do, baby. That's what we do.
Titan football. Love it. Peace out, y'all.
All right. See you guys.